Refreshing. Enhance.
What is that?
Enhance.
That's weird.
Enhance. You don't remember what that's from?
No.
That's Super Troopers, bro.
Oh man.
Enhance.
All right. So we're
Enhance.
all right. We have to start there because
Enhance.
we have to start there. We're gonna start at Super Troopers.
You want what? I haven't seen the second one yet. Have you?
I haven't seen the first one.
Whoa! You've never seen the first Super Troopers, bro?
Yeah. You don't have to take my headphones out.
I'm
because of it.
I'm trying to get mine, and you move mine. Come on, man.
I've never seen it.
Wow.
You ever seen it?
Unbelievable.
Dude, me either.
Josh,
Like,
you never seen Super Troopers either? Oh my!
I started
God.
watching it for like 5 minutes.
Wow.
And I never sat down and watched it.
It's incredible, literally.
Share now,
It's
public.
so
I'm gonna
good.
share- Okay, we're sharing.
Share
We're
public.
live.
Let's go.
Facebook Live from the Hill podcast, episode 937. Josh, put that microphone closer to
Only if you need me to.
this guy and his music.
No, say I got you.
You like the same crowd.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do.
Tell me if you got me too.
What is up, everybody?
Oh, what is up, everybody? We have one viewer so far, man. We had more on my own Facebook Live on my phone.
On the selfie stick? You
Here's
like that
3,
selfie
4.
stick?
We're growing quickly.
Listen, we got a very special From the Hill podcast here. It is Friday, October 5th. We are fired up. It's Swags here with the prof, and we have a special guest in studio. Go ahead and pull that mic away from the music, Josh, and say hi.
You
to folks.
crushed that. You crushed that music every single time.
I know.
You crushed that music every single time. It's
I know.
such a hard stop. You can't do that. People
Dude.
don't want to hear that.
Listen, I can do it.
Make it aesthetically pleasing to the ear. That doesn't make any sense.
No,
does it?
no, aesthetic to the ear. Come on, bro.
What is it?
You're of a cunt.
Yeah, I don't know what the word is, but you know what I meant.
I got you.
You can't just pull that
Make
sound
it-
down like that. Stop doing that.
Make it sound good.
He does that all the time. He pulls the sound down like crazy, like real quick. Dude, that's not how you do it. This is a very special leftover show. So if you didn't check out my first Facebook Live from my selfie stick on my phone, you would know that we're doing a leftover show. We're dressed in all white. Josh is in all white. We have a very special guest in studio, the first ever in studio guest on From the Hill.
It's good to be here.
We're
guys.
very glad to have him. You guys aren't going to see him because he didn't do his hair and makeup tonight, but he did put on
Budget's small. Couldn't fit me in the budget.
He did happen to put on a 6-year-old Hanes T-shirt, which we're very, very happy with. So we're excited to have him in here, and he's here to talk some specifics on the fight game that's coming up tomorrow. We're not going to jump into it yet. I don't want to rush Jack's. I don't want to rush Jack's yellow notepad.
As you know,
but
we
we
are
are going to get into it.
We are jam-packed full of content, as always. But, however, there's some things I need to start with. As always, a little bit of housekeeping. So, I want to start. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. is the Bridgeport Little League alumni game. So, this is a big deal for the Bridgeport Little League. And I was talking to some of the people running this, and I go up every year, obviously, because I played in the Bridgeport Little League. But the folks that run it said, hey, listen, guys, if you just tell everybody you know, just come up, hang out. I'm probably not even going to play tomorrow morning. I'm just going to go up. If you want to play softball tomorrow morning and you're in the area, go up. If you don't and you just want to support the Little League, go up. It's up at Bridgeport Park. If you guys don't know where that is, hit us up. I can give you directions. It's for the Little League. It's for the kids. We've talked about the Little League before and supporting the Little League. So if you're around tomorrow morning, just head up. Just hang out. Everybody's going to be up there. I'll be up there. I don't think Prof's going to be up there, but I'll be up there. If you want some free From the Hill stuff, I'll bring up the wristbands and the koozies. I'll give out some free gear for everybody that comes up. So it'll be a good time. Hope to see some more folks up there. And again, we're just supporting the Little League.
What
That's
is
what it's all
it?
about.
What is it exactly?
We play a softball game on the Little League field. Wood bats.
On
There's
the
a limit
Little
on
League
home
field?
runs. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, listen, bro, this isn't Norristown. Like, there's a lot of guys up there who, are in their 50s or don't play men's
They've
softball
been out of the
like
game
you.
for a while.
They're not like you, Norristown MVP over here.
Obviously, you guys know from last week's show that I'm back in the gym. Obviously,
Dude, you couldn't hit the ball on the Little League field. Smitty's on here. Smitty, Booha would have 0 home runs. At the Little League alumni
I couldn't
game.
lift my arms after last week. The first time I was back in the gym.
That's right.
I'm just now getting feeling back in my arms up, but I did squats with 135 yesterday, and I couldn't walk. I almost had to army crawl out of the gym yesterday on 135.
Bro, who lifts legs?
I was
Leg
doing.
day?
I
Come
was
on now.
doing. I was repping 320. All right, we're not going to get into it. A lot of douche stuff going on. We're not going to do that.
All right, so that's that. And then the second thing I wanted to cover. So big ups to my buddy Joe Roberto. He's got himself set up here in Bridgeport for Attilio Plumbing. I had a leak here. Actually, when Nick came over tonight, he saw my fridge was pulled out. I had water leaking downstairs everywhere. I called Joey up. He came over right away, took a look at it, got it squared away real quick. I just got to get a part for the back of my fridge. But big ups. So I wanted to give him a shout out. Attilio Plumbing. If you guys live in the area, they cover everywhere around here, Bridgeport. Country. Yeah, Josh, give Attilio. Like great
Speaking
guys.
to the mic, Josh.
They
So
come
hear you.
They come right out.
Yeah. I use them as well. They're great, man. I've been using them for years.
Yeah. So and we know all the guys. I've known Joe. for a
Dynamite
long
dropping
time.
money.
No, I mean it's true.
Yep. All right. So you know what? Let's get into some content. You guys ready to go?
Yeah, we played the music, right?
We played the music.
Come on.
We're ready to go.
Let's go. Everybody's
All right.
ready for From the
So
Hill.
I had to hit Nick with this and Josh too because I can't wait to hear this. So the movie Venom was released today. You guys excited?
31% on Rotten Tomatoes or something.
Whoa.
Timmy's about to go over there.
Guess what?
Whoa.
Guess what? Are you in my camp with this? I don't know if you're in my camp with this.
All
What
right.
is your can?
Explain your camp.
Here's my camp. I've gone back way far with these superhero movies. I've been all on them. I've watched every one of them. Recently, they just keep coming. They keep putting them out
Too
because
many.
they're making. Yeah, it's like
He's a hater.
they're just oversaturating the market with these superhero movies, and I've had enough. But they're still making money, so they're going to keep producing them. So
I think the quality has gone.
absolutely, how can you argue that?
He's a hater.
Other than okay, I didn't watch it yet, but everybody raves about the last one that came out. It was Avengers.
Infinity War was amazing.
Okay.
Infinity War was amazing. Everything about it. was
Aside
great.
from that, how many Spider-Mans do they come out with? How many Avengers are they going to come out with? Now Venom's going to have his own franchise. He's going to have his own series. They're going to come out with 3-4 of these things.
Look,
Do you think this year-
Ross is chiming in. Venom is better than Spider-Man. He's right. So Venom, this is the first of its kind. So you have to embrace.
Here's the problem with they picked the lamest humans ever to play Spider-Man.
dude. A guy's got to portray Peter Parker. Oh yeah,
Tobey
dude.
Maguire and the other kid from Facebook.
Whoa, don't hate on Wardo, bro.
That was the lamest two kids ever.
Listen,
And then Mary Jane, she was Kirsten Dunst. It was just like a,
yeah,
you know
but
what I mean?
Gwen Stacy in the new Spider-Man's was
Who's Gwen Stacy?
smoking hot.
Who's that?
That's what's her name? Emma Stone with blonde hair. Oh, she looked good.
Wait a second. They changed their name?
No. See, this is the thing. You don't know the storylines. You don't follow arcs. So
Hey.
Gwen Stacy is his Peter Parker's first true love, and she always dies when he fights the Green Goblin and her neck snaps. And they did that in the second Amazing Spider-Man. See, you're missing out, bro. You're not following. You're missing out, man.
Dude,
He's too busy
Listen,
complaining about
listen.
That's it. Instead of watching them, he
It's
wants to
just like
complain
content.
about them instead of just sit down and watch them.
these were things that I followed when I was supposed to be following them. And now I'm like 30. I'm like 32.
Listen,
and I
Venom,
don't have time for
Tom
this anymore.
Hardy is playing Eddie Brock, who is the guy who gets inhabited by the symbiote that is Venom. Venom's a bad guy. Like, Venom is supposed to be dark. I'm surprised that Rotten Tomatoes has come out so bad, although I did see an article this week that Tom Hardy even said they cut a lot of scenes that he really liked from the movie. So I'm sort of concerned about that, but I'm excited overall for the movie. It's their first pure villain movie, which I like.
There was good user reviews, I think, though. So I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
the critics are.
Yeah, the critics are just
Dude.
pooping on it.
Dude, the user reviews. Do you trust the user reviews for anything?
IMDb user reviews all day.
Really?
Top 250. Top
But
250 movies,
okay, let's clarify, okay? Movie-wise, maybe. Okay?
Yeah.
Like regular movie. You go to see a movie, like you trust those superhero movie. These are different users. These superhero
All right.
IMDb
Here,
somehow
the
always
superhero
gets it
fan
right.
base
You
is a
look at the
different
top-
kind of user,
Rob,
right?
you got
no?
you got an agreement. Hanshaw's chiming in and said he did not like Infinity War at all. That's the newest.
I'm not saying I didn't
Avengers.
like it. I'm saying I didn't watch it. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of all this. I'm sick of it.
So you're saying you didn't watch Jurassic Park 12 that they just put out on video?
No, I haven't. And
Foot's down.
that was one of my things. I told you they're going to keep coming out with Jurassic Parks, and
Yeah.
they kept coming out with
I'm
Jurassic
not
Parks.
on.
That's
I'm
what I
not on
told
the
you.
Jurassic
Is
Park.
Newman still in them?
That would be much better.
I may
They don't
watch.
make
I may
movies like
watch.
that anymore, man. I feel like an old man saying that, but I feel like I'm right. They keep making the same movie over and over again. It's crazy. Here's my thing. IMDb reviews, an independent movie by itself, that's one thing. But when you when you tack on and these glommers on of these, like all these fans jump onto this movie, they're all going to review it.
But none of those
It's good.
movies
It's the
are-
best
are
movie
hitting
ever
the
made.
top. No, that's not the case.
But
They're
that's
not
why
in the top.
that's why the user reviews are so much different than the critics' reviews. Speaking to the mic, sir.
Sorry. Little technical difficulty.
That's good. No, you sound good.
I'm saying if
Get
you look
louder.
at the top 250 movies on IMDb, like you just go through them, they're really good movies. So like the users are getting it right. It's
All right.
So let me throw this out there because it just came on HBO and I have not had the Colin Yunes to watch it yet, right? But it's one of those critically
Colin
acclaimed
Yunes?
movies. Colin Yunes, yeah. The testicular fortitude.
Colin Yunes.
Colin Yunes. It's the
It's a couple different body parts together. The Colin Yunes.
it's the sound of water or whatever the hell it's called. The scent of water or whatever. It just came out on HBO.
Oh, with that like fish thing
Fish
that lives in the
dude,
bathtub.
Yeah, and it like got critically acclaimed.
It won a lot of awards.
Right, and it's out on HBO to watch, and that's like supposedly the best movie ever. But I don't have time for that. Like, give me Venom. Give me.
doesn't
me
seem like you
give
need
me-
the Korean Yuns to watch out.
Yeah.
Colin Yunes. But he can watch
haven't heard of
nine. He can watch
haven't heard.
9 different Avengers movies
Correct.
back to back to back to
Correct.
back.
Man
Or
likes action.
John
He likes
Wick
action.
on repeat over. and
No.
over and over.
Okay, that's different. That is a lot different. That's a lot different. That's one of my tops.
Yeah, just John Wick and John Wick 2 over and over. and
That
over
those
again.
two are in my tops.
Yeah,
those
those are
are
amazing.
awesome.
Yeah, the best.
Those are great movies.
All right, so let's shift.
They could make 100 of them.
You ready? Let's shift to from something from the movies to a TV show that just came out this week that I haven't had a chance to catch yet. I don't know if you guys have. It's on HBO. It's produced by LeBron James, and it's a big deal. It's called Student Athlete, and it's all about NCAA and the whole system. And they talk to kids. Have either one of you guys had a chance to catch that yet?
Documentary.
No, but let me
it's
ask
like
you a
a
question.
docudrama.
No, but what the hell does LeBron know about that?
That's actually a great point.
LeBron
What would
went
he
from
know?
LeBron went from his 3rd grade to the NBA.
True.
What does he know
Yeah,
about student athletes?
that's actually a really good point. He wouldn't know anything about that.
Like, so I don't know. I'll watch it, but him producing it, I assume that there's a certain slant that I'm somehow not going to agree with.
Prof. Cahill just chimed in with Ozark. Aren't you like an Ozark?
Oh yeah. Ozark is amazing. I actually think that
Decent.
I almost went into Earl right there. I'm like, you know, but
Gets all amped up. when he's talking about Ozark.
I'll tell you
That's his thing.
something.
That's his thing.
He might be on here, and I love. I do that out of love, Earl. I really do. But
Props. to Earl
Ozark,
impression is unbelievable.
the second season of Ozark was better than the first season of
Okay.
Ozark,
Well,
and it was
can only go
amazing.
up.
It's amazing, and Jason Bateman he's unbelievable because he does a lot with the show. It's more than him just being Marty Bird. He produces, he directs, and he does a lot of stuff with the show, and it's unreal. I loved it. I think that the characters in that show are spot on. Like you're invested in those characters.
Is it the best show on television right now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, it's not on television. It's on,
I mean,
you know,
currently,
that I've seen. Yeah. I mean, yeah, absolutely.
There's not a lot running right now. I mean, Ballers is running.
no, I mean,
Ballers
currently
is
production-
Ballers is
Ballers.
is
No, you got- I'm saying making new episodes like Game of Thrones. You got all.
Well,
you know
okay.
what I
So
mean?
if we go
I-
there, you
I-
got to compete with Ray Donovan, right?
Yeah,
You got to
sure.
compete with Walking Dead.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of big.
I'm not on
running
Ray
series.
Donovan yet.
Dude, are you kidding me?
I swear, I'm not.
Ray Donovan has.
I've
got
told
to
you
be
this
watched.
before.
5 seasons in, man.
Yeah.
I've told you
Ray-
this
yeah.
before.
When are you gonna start?
No, I've told you this before. Like the hype build up for Ozark was enough for me to jump in right away.
Yeah.
But for Ray Donovan, it kind of built
Ozark
up.
had a lot of hype.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was enough for me to jump in right away. But a lot of shows, even with Sopranos, I didn't get in till it was over.
Yeah.
I didn't jump to
Yeah.
Sopranos until it was over. And I loved it. It's like my favorite of all time.
Cahill slobbing Bateman too.
So-
But see,
And Breaking Bad, same thing. It was almost over,
Yeah.
and then I was in. Like it's different for me. It's more a timing thing. Like, but I will binge something if it's bingeable. Like once I get started. Making Murderer 2 is coming out next week.
yeah, I can't wait for
Some
that.
people wait for the show to finish so they can binge
can just binge it.
It's
my
actually-
brother does
Well, you
it.
know,
It's
it's
actually a lot
really
better
like
that way.
prototypical for that, and I did it myself. Was Ballers because the episodes are a half hour and there's only 12 of them, so literally, like you can just go and you're done the entire 2 seasons in a day and a half because they're only half-hour episodes. So there's some shows that literally just tailor made to binge like that, and I think Ballers is one of them.
So let me ask you, like, what's the show that you binge that you're most disappointed in? Because I have one in mind.
Well, why would you binge it if you do you get
Because
you just keep
it's like-
going, you just
It's like
It's a-
just enough that you've invested, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just enough you've invested. There's enough seasons that you've invested, and you just keep it going. And I had one.
So you feel committed at some point?
Yeah. Like
All right,
you
well,
finish it out.
Then
So-
I need you, since you played the teaser, I need you to start because maybe it'll spur me.
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
All right, so I'm going to tell you one that it started out pretty good. It sucked us in enough to like continue watching it, and it was Boardwalk Empire. Like it was a decent show. Steve Buscemi was obviously he got all these like awards, nominations, whatever it was.
Sure.
He was good. Like I get it. He was good. It was a decent show. It was watchable. At a certain point, you're just like, okay, is this thing over?
It became mature.
Yeah, like you're just like,
you're not required to watch these shows, Nick. I mean,
I know, but like you're invested. You're invested, right? Like you've watched enough of them, and you keep going. We're at the point right now with the show The Affair that's on Showtime. It's with Dominic West, the guy that played what's his name in The Wire.
Mel just chimed in. Shameless.
Oh, Shameless is good.
You like Shameless? I haven't gotten into that yet.
I haven't started up when it just started a couple weeks ago, but I am on Shameless. I do like
You
Shameless.
like Shameless?
Yeah, it's a good show. But Boardwalk Empire for me, like that was one that we started and you just kind of got invested in it and you're like, I'm just going to finish this thing out.
So
regardless of where it
Yeah,
goes.
like it wasn't that good.
So I can't think of one that I started. I'll tell you one that I had binged and then I really liked, and for some reason I just couldn't finish, and that was a Netflix. It was House of Cards. I know that's like
Yeah.
critically acclaimed as the best Netflix series ever,
Yeah.
and I really, really, really liked it. For some reason, though, into the fourth season, I just kind of stopped. But the first 3 seasons are incredible, and I know the Kevin Spacey thing, so people are like, whatever. But I didn't care. I mean, Kate Mara's in it. There's a lot of great actors and actresses in it. I really liked House of Cards. I say this all the time. I actually don't think I've ever said it on the podcast. I'm going to tell you right now what my favorite show is. And it's only 4 seasons long. And if you can find it, it was a Cinemax production. So give it a chance.
Oh, geez.
Skinamax.
We can go anywhere here.
So the name of the show is called Banshee.
Oh, yeah. I've
Banshee
heard of
was
it.
sick.
Okay.
Banshee's
awesome show.
so
Yeah.
good.
Awesome show.
Literally, I have not heard a single person yet that I've mentioned Banshee to who said they've seen it and didn't like it,
Yeah.
or who I told to watch it and said they didn't instantly start binging.
No, I've
Howard
definitely
Stern
heard of it.
Always talk about Banshee.
Banshee
and I was
is
like, okay, I'm gonna
so
give it a go. And
good.
It was really good.
So
You're
good.
a big Stern guy, right?
Used to be.
Is he still going?
Yeah,
Pretty
yeah.
strong?
He is.
Does he still do the same wacky stuff that he used to do?
He's slowed down a lot.
Here's what
hasn't he,
happened.
Josh?
I used to listen to him, like tune in every once in a while on my XM,
Yeah.
but then I got the XM always like, they're like, we're gonna charge you another $20 just because. And you're just like, nah, I don't want to do that. Give me the $5 version, and then you don't get Stern anymore. So you
Yeah, you
still
don't want
tune
that
in?
version.
Nah,
Yeah.
I mean,
That's all it was for. It was
I
Stern,
really
really.
never listened to it.
Yeah,
I don't listen to
bought
it at all.
for Stern, but it's just I wasn't
I
commuting
feel
to
like that's
work.
why a lot of people like actually pay for XM radio.
Dude,
is
that,
just
I
to
would
get
if
Stern.
I had to put a percentage on their subscriber base that literally got it.
Literally
Just
the
for
only
Stern,
reason.
I would say it was upwards of 70%.
Yeah.
Like no joke. And then the other 20.
How much money
Were
is that guy
for-
making?
I don't
the
think
sports.
they're doing well though.
No, they're not. Well,
they
what's
can't be.
so actually, Josh is the best straight man today because this is something I wanted to talk
Oh
about
my gosh!
with
That's the first time I didn't win that
new-
award.
like the way that media is consumed now, because I've heard a lot of this recently with the whole satellite radio. You know what's killing them is podcasts.
Podcasts,
Yeah,
It's all
because
free.
the way that you have to get, if you want to have satellite radio and listen to podcasts from the past, you have to do it on your phone. So you think about your average Stern listener, right, who's in their 50s, right, like our parents' generation that grew up listening to Stern.
Mhm.
They want to listen to everything like through their radio in their car. They may not be proficient on their phone to go into their app on their phone and then pull up the old Stern shows and the old podcasts and listen to them. But that's the way you have to do it on XM. Whereas us, we're like, well, we can just listen to whatever podcast we want on iTunes, or you can YouTube old Stern, right? So that's what's killing them is podcasts.
I think-
killing them.
I think From the Hill has really drawn from the Stern market. I
Yeah,
think
I mean,
we're,
it's the
we're, we're
same-
like
it's
really
the same-
sucking a lot of
We're sucking all their
the
business
energy
away.
from their
That's a
market.
good point, actually.
Definitely. So it's an important thing to note just when we're jumping on here. We have a couple. So Bob Cahill says right on cue, Wire reference. Definitely, Dominic West is the man. That was one thing that I started talking about. The Affair, that show on Showtime. We got into it. It was pretty good, and then we kind of hit a wall. You ever hit a wall with a show where you're just like,
all the time.
Yeah.
I've been, it's been
most
happening a
recent?
lot.
Okay, so it happens a lot. Most recent. Go ahead.
Ozark.
What?
Yeah, like
You hit a wall with Ozark?
I couldn't finish the first season.
Wow.
Got
Dude, please jump
8?
back in.
How many episodes were there?
10.
Yeah, probably.
It's like 10 and
watched
10.
8 of them.
Dude, it's so good.
I don't know. I felt like the guy. They wanted him to be like Walter White, and he wasn't there.
Really?
Yeah.
No, he gets there.
He ain't no Sheriff
he'll never
Lucas
be Walter
Hood.
White.
He gets there.
no chance.
There's a big turn in season 2 with Wendy. Okay, so Wendy was a character that you actually are supposed to hate throughout season 1, and you do. Like, she's very good at that. The whole time you're like, why is this girl even on the show? You like, she's terrible. She doesn't even fit his character to be his wife. But then season 2 makes a turn, and she's the badass on the show. She jumps into that role. You need to keep going.
Today's From the Hill, brought to you by Ozark.
Yeah, right.
Well, I mean, we're talking about shows that hit a wall. I've hit a wall with shows. I hit a wall with like I said, Boardwalk Empire. What shows?
I hit a wall. Last wall I hit was on Netflix. I hit Daredevil. I got through the first season.
Oh my god!
And I got into the second.
How'd you even get started on that?
That's a great
It's
show,
really
dude.
good.
Daredevil?
Yeah,
It's really
amazing.
good.
Awesome. show.
Isn't it like
Well, Daredevil. So Daredevil, if you look at you talk about the Marvel and how you hate the characters. If you look at the characters overall, Daredevil is probably one of the most interesting Marvel characters in the universe because, he got blind or whatever, and his senses got enhanced. But like, he's not like the rest of the heroes in that he kills people all the time. Like, he don't give a shit. He's kind of like the Punisher. He's really brutal that way. So it makes for an interesting, more of a storyline.
So this was Ben Affleck,
No, not the
no.
Netflix
but that
show.
it's based on the same movie though,
Same
The
right?
same
guy,
character.
Yeah.
The same character.
They're on the same,
Let me ask you a question.
franchise.
Green Arrow. Did you ever do Green Arrow?
No.
Yeah, I
No.
watched it a while. The problem with series show or like ABC, NBC, like those big like
Commercials, dude.
there's like 30 episodes a season. It's like there's so much filler in it. Any of those shows,
A lot of fluff.
It's all fluff. Yeah, like you get Netflix, you get 10, 12 episodes. You can
Right.
handle that.
And they
But-
get to the point.
yeah, but like any show that's on one of the big networks, it's 24 episodes a season.
Yeah.
Like what was the one? Blacklist or
Speaking of the mic, dude.
Blacklist was a huge
Oh,
show.
no. The Black Sails. Black Sails?
No, that was
No.
Stars. That was a pirate show on
Was it
Stars.
Blacklist?
Blacklist was a huge show.
On NBC, yeah.
But it's like 24,
Yeah.
30 episodes a season.
That,
Like,
that was our biggest fan,
there's-
Smith Diesel's favorite show.
Oh, he likes that?
there's
yeah.
no way you can have 30 episodes in a season or something and maintain like a certain level of quality.
Dude, I have a confession to make, and it's crazy. My ex-roommate, Chris McVoy, I don't know if you guys know him. He's always around, but we used to sit at home and watch every network TV show like there was.
yeah.
I haven't watched a network television show in a long, long time. Actually, the last one that I watched, speaking of hitting a wall, and it's another Marvel Universe show, was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That was like a ABC show, and I watched like the first 3 seasons, but you're right. It's like 20 episodes,
Yeah.
and you're just like, I can't. And again, here's the difference in how you consume your media. You watch like a show on ABC, and you get hit with 5 commercials throughout like an hour-long show. Or if you go on Netflix, you get 42 minutes or 48 minutes of the show all the way through. Like,
But
it's
even
just,
if I see a show on Netflix from a network that has 24 episodes in a season and there's 5 seasons, I'm like, this is a lot,
Yeah.
a lot to get into.
It's
like,
too
you know.
much.
So Bobby Cahill checks in a couple times, and he brings up one show that I do want to get into that I've heard a lot about, and another show that I did hit a wall on. So he brings up the first one was Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
In?
Wall.
Are you hit a wall?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I haven't got into Peaky yet.
Yeah,
I've had
yeah,
a
show,
lot of
great
people tell me
show.
about it.
I heard
though.
it's great.
Yeah.
You hit a wall.
Yeah.
Second one that it started as a great show. I hit a wall. Homeland. Totally hit a wall on Homeland. Every single time, it's the girl goes crazy, then she cries, then she does something great, and
All right,
then
so-
something
Is
crazy
hitting
happens,
a
and then
wall-
she hits.
If you finish a season and then the new seasons come out and you don't just jump back into it, would you consider that still hitting a wall? Like,
Yeah,
That's
dude.
kinda-
I haven't watched
yeah.
like the last 2 seasons of Homeland.
but I'm saying like when it was current, I was watching, and then at some point I never got on to the new season, and it just was left at that. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
because it didn't draw your interest enough for you to jump right back in. There's a lot of shows out there that when you're really into them, you're like, dude, I can't wait. Like Making
wait
Murderer
for
2,
Yeah.
I'll
Oh,
be
yeah,
I'll be there the
you're
19th.
right,
I'm
you're
like,
right.
ready
I'm
to
there,
go.
I'm there on that.
Right?
I can't wait.
Like,
I can't
I'm-
wait for that.
Yeah.
Like I'm totally ready to go the night of, or like maybe the morning of. Like I'll
So
drink
have
a
you?
cup of coffee and watch the
is
first
it
show.
a new?
Yeah.
It's like an
No,
update.
it's the same guy.
Oh,
It's the
same-
same. It's
okay, I'm
Stephen
fine.
A. Avery. it's Stephen A.
same,
Avery.
same guy.
It's an update now. By the way, Brendan Dassey got released.
Yeah,
Yes.
He got released. They started to go
That
GoFundMe
kid.
for him.
Oh my
to send
goodness,
him to
WrestleMania.
WrestleMania.
that kid.
So you know what? last thing on this until we jump into sports, but this is a good one because you guys talked about The Wire.
What is a sport?
And then he's the main character, and a character is plays in another series, right? So the big knock on, and I think this actually would be my top 3 best shows that are running right now, is Billions. However, I never watched Homeland.
Never started. Didn't start it.
But the main character, one of the main characters in Homeland, is the main character in Billions. He is Bobby Axelrod. And so what a lot of people have said that they prevented them from getting into Billions is they wanted to watch, but all they keep thinking about is him from Homeland. And I forget his name in Homeland. If anybody's on here that knows what I'm talking about, give me the name of the guy of who Bobby Axelrod in Billions plays in Homeland, and they'll tell you guys. And they're
He's
like,
the main guy.
they're like, I can't get over that guy in that
it's,
role.
Brody.
Brody, that's it.
Nicholas
Yeah.
Brody.
Right. So they're like, I can't get over him as that. But in Billions, he's amazing as Axelrod. And see, I never watched Homeland, so I don't know like what he is in that show versus what he is in Billions.
Yeah.
But Billions is, I think, top 3 best shows on right now. Smitty said my name. Smitty, what's up, buddy?
Dude, he's like mad at me. He's always mad at me for some reason.
Why? What'd you do?
Nothing. I'm just excited
What'd
talking
you
about
do?
TV shows. And
What'd
he
you
gets
do?
all upset.
I can't blame him.
All right, let's jump in because I wanted to touch on baseball, but we ran so long on the TV that let's jump into UFC because I'm fucking pumped for UFC 229 tomorrow. Like seriously, I haven't been more excited for a fight in the last 2 years. This exceeds my expectations for a fight well more than the McGregor boxing match did. Like that was fun. The Mayweather McGregor boxing match, that was fun. It was cool to see it, but this I'm pumped about. And so let's just talk about it a little bit. So tomorrow night, UFC 229, it's the main event. It's Conor McGregor against Khabib Nurmagomedov. And Khabib is
He's been practicing that pronunciation.
I
That
have.
was a difficult one.
I have. It's
kinda
a tough
have to.
one. It's a really tough one. Khabib is the new lightweight champ, the new stud in UFC. And the irony of his rise to fame is that
Undefeated.
as Conor sort of, phased out after his second Diaz fight and did the boxing match, Khabib was on his way up. And so he rose up. And Josh probably knows this better than I do. I think at the time, did Conor fight? Conor didn't fight Diaz at 155, right? He fought him at like 170, right?
170 both times.
That's what I
yes.
thought. So
Which Diaz?
Nate Diaz.
McGregor, so they fought at 170.
That's right.
And,
That's what I thought.
On the rematch, they were talking about changing the weight, and McGregor's like, no, we fought. He beat me at 170. We're going to
Right. We're fighting 170 again. Right.
Because the only reason they fought at 170 before was because someone
McGregor was going up to fight somebody, and
No.
they got something happened, right?
something happened. No. McGregor was fighting someone at 155. Dos Anjos at 155, and Dos Anjos pulled out.
That's
and
right.
Diaz was in Cancun, and he couldn't make 155. He said, "Let's fight it 165." And McGregor's like, "No, fuck it. We'll fight at 170.
Right.
I'll
Right.
come up to you. Like,
Right.
let's go."
Right.
And then he lost.
And he
then he
lost.
said, "If we're running it back, we're gonna do it at the same weight
Right.
because that's where he beat me at."
Right.
So,
Yes. So McGregor coming off 18 months of not having a UFC fight, and Khabib is just on this dominating run of the lightweights. And by the way, I like to say this all the time because we're talking about the weight class. So again, these guys are fighting at 155. It's lightweights. And for a perspective on the size of these guys, Conor's 5'9", Khabib's 5'10". So if you know Nick and myself, it's basically our size. Like I'm 5'10", like 180. So like basically our size, a lot lighter than 155.
It's not my size.
average height. Yeah,
Nick-
you know?
I'll give you height.
You see him at 155, you're like, oh, they're probably small or something.
No.
I'm
They're
not.
not-
I'm
they're-
about 2 bills.
Well, so it's crazy because Josh and I had a whole conversation about this before our podcast at Screwballs about McGregor and how ridiculous he is. So Conor is an inch shorter than me with a 74-inch reach, and his arms are just so long, and that's part of what's so interesting about this fight. So when we break down the fighters, let's start with Conor because everybody knows Conor, right? Conor is probably in the top 10 of the most recognizable athletes on the planet right now, right?
Yeah, and even higher on the list of incomes.
yeah. Top 5 of making money. Yeah.
no, I think he's in the top 3 actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was like Cristiano.
It's
Ronaldo,
him.
And then,
It's him, Messi, Floyd, and obviously Ronaldo.
yeah.
Yeah.
They're top 4, I think.
Mhm.
I looked it up a couple days ago, but yeah,
Right.
he's definitely up there.
So everybody knows Conor, but what I've been hearing a lot about is, well, Conor's not ready for this. He did the boxing thing. All he cares about is the money, blah, blah, blah. I tend to disagree a lot, and I wanted to get Josh's take and Prof's take on it because what I've seen from him is a total turn from the way that he promoted other fights and the way that he was out in front of the other fights. I know everybody goes back to that bus incident, right? But there's a lot underneath of that we don't have to get into about like the camps and how they were arguing and all that. But I feel like Conor is like really preparing for this fight. Like he's been training, he wants to fight. And so we'll talk about contrasting styles, but what Conor does great, if you're not a UFC fan, is he's a striker. And his best offense is a counter punch, right? He's a stand-up guy. He keeps you at length, and he counter punches. What Khabib does is he's a wrestler. And that's why Josh is great to be here, because Khabib is a world-class wrestler, right? And so what Khabib does, if you want to check it out on YouTube, I know everybody said this, but I have to say it too. When he's 7 years old, he's wrestling a bear. And that's true. Have you seen that video?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So he's 7 years old wrestling
Where's
a bear.
he from?
He's from Russia, the mother Russia.
Was it Dagestan, I think?
Yes, Dagestan, because it's Dagestan against Dublin.
Yeah.
That's the matchup. And so the contrasting styles are real. Well, what Josh and I were talking about last week is when if you go to YouTube and you watch Khabib highlights, he is very aggressive in the way that he's been going at a lot of his most recent opponents. And I think we all agree, and because the reasons he's not scared of getting knocked out.
Yeah, it's interesting. The amount he presses forward, he's always pressing, but he hasn't really had to go against someone who has the hands that Conor has. So, I mean, he fought Edson Barboza, who's a good striker, but he's more leg kicks. So to go against someone with the punching ability and the left hand that Conor has, it's going to be interesting to see if he presses in the same fashion.
Right. I agree. And because when you watch the fight, Smitty chimed in. What's he got there? What did he say?
Don't worry about Smitty, dude. He doesn't know about anything about fighting. I'll fight him whenever he wants.
He said Conor's 4 right now behind Ronaldo, so he was just giving us some updating on the money there.
That's unbelievable, because when you look at the rest of the athletes in the UFC, there's no one else
not even
sniffing
close.
That list.
Well, and that's why when we talked about the fight that he did with Mayweather, that's why he did it, because he wanted that huge one payday. He would never have gotten that in UFC.
No, but you know what he's getting this fight?
Oh.
I heard he's around 50 million.
Oh yeah,
something that he could end up making
yes,
with the gate
yes.
and everything.
It's going to be probably the largest purse by far in
yeah.
UFC history. And again, now look at what he did in order to get that purse up. He went and did the boxing match, did the star thing, and now he comes back to UFC, right? So,
but even before that, when he was in the UFC, I guess it would be the Alvarez fight was the fight before that. He was making way more money than any other fighter in the UFC.
Oh yeah. Well, think about Diaz too. Like how crazy was it? Diaz won. We talked about like the lead up, and then the guy drops out, so he couldn't make the fight. But then Diaz 2, do you remember Diaz 2? Like how pumped everybody was for Diaz 2? That was unbelievable.
That's after he lost. He didn't lose any fan. Like he didn't lose his fan base.
No, because we got a pass, right? Because he fought up, and it was he did. So he hit Diaz 2. That was huge. And this comparatively, look, Diaz is a great fighter with a great chin. He's not Khabib.
Different styles.
Different styles.
Yeah.
So what's interesting to me is, and they actually both sort of have the same style with the way that they fight and the way they control the ring, because Conor is the same way, like always forward, right? Because he's a counter puncher. So he cuts the octagon in half. He boxes you in, and then he's waiting to hit that counter punch. Khabib does the same thing, except he's waiting to shoot. And I've never seen anybody dominate on the ground the way that Khabib has.
Yeah, I mean, when he fought Michael Johnson three fights ago, and he said that he's never felt anyone grab him and have that grip on him. He's never felt that. He said his takedowns weren't anything special. Like, he shoots a lot from afar and whatnot, but he said when he got him on the ground, he never felt that pressure. It felt like he was going against a 185 pounder. So
yeah, and the strength of him on the ground and his ground and pound is just vicious. And what you see out of him when he gets guys down is unbelievable. I saw the fight, and I wish I would remember the guy's name. It wasn't the Johnson fight, but it was a different one where he beat the crap out of this guy.
It was probably Barboza. They went.
That was it, Barboza, and he went the distance.
Though,
but
you know
dude,
what I mean?
he beat the living crap out of
He
Barboza.
did. But he didn't finish him.
No,
you know
he
what I
couldn't
mean?
finish him. He couldn't finish him. No, he couldn't.
And Iaquinta, his last fight, I mean, Iaquinta put up a good fight against him. He kind of exposed Khabib a bit for his striking. Like he looked. I mean, he beat Iaquinta up, but he didn't look like he could beat Conor.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's it.
and before that fight, if you looked at
when's the last time Conor fought?
Well, Conor hasn't fought in the UFC in over 18 months.
Yeah.
Is that a problem?
No, I mean,
I don't think so.
He fought Floyd Mayweather.
I know he's training. I know he's training, but is he training?
Think about it like this.
Like, is he training UFC training?
It's different. It's
think about it like
I know. That's kind of my point.
McGregor
right?
was 21-3 as in his like professional MMA record. He's fought plenty of MMA fights. When he went to box, all he was doing was training for 6 months for one boxing match. So
it's going to be interesting to see if he picked up anything like, and he's going to bring to the UFC.
I agree. Well, you think about it, right? What his strength needs to be in this fight is the stand-up, which is already a strength. Now,
no, I think his strength needs to be
blocking the
ground.
takedown.
Yeah.
Well, Josh, that's kind of one of the things that I wanted to ask you about is what do you think there's a lot of different aspects, obviously, in mixed martial arts. You've done a couple different aspects of it. You've trained in a lot of different aspects of it. What do you think is what's the key skill for you to have to succeed in it? I know we both come from a wrestling base. Obviously, you a little bit more so than myself, but like it seems like everybody kind of starts there. Like the guys that have been really successful have been wrestlers.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like you said, most of the champions. I mean, they have a wrestling foundation, so you have to say that you can't really disagree that that's the most solid fundamental skill. Like, I mean, all the boxing and everything, it goes away when you put someone on the mat and they're on their back. You can't punch. I mean, you get a hold of someone.
Yeah,
and it's easy to get a hold of someone. You know what I mean?
When you look at the pantheon of UFC fighters, right? Like you look at your knockout artists and guys that win a lot of matches, but then guys who have sustainability. It's like the whole Josh Lieben versus Koscheck thing, right? Like, or Chris Lieben versus Josh Koscheck. That was like the original Ultimate Fighter, and the guys talk a lot of trash. And Lieben was a world-class wrestler. Koscheck was a world-class wrestler, and Lieben was a striker. And Lieben's knocked everybody out, but they get in the ring, and then he can't catch him, and Koscheck gets him to the ground, and he just beats him up. He just ground and pounds him and dominates. And so that's the whole thing in UFC. That's why I think Conor's rise is so amazing, because he's primarily a stand-up guy, and he's been able to dominate like that at the stand-up.
It's interesting. A lot of the fighters like that don't have a wrestling background, the way they've avoided getting taken down. You know what I mean? And
Conor's the perfect example of that.
And even a lot of the people with a wrestling core, they're not attempting to take the other person down. They're more comfortable.
It's more
striking,
reactive,
you know
right?
what I mean?
It's more reactive.
Look at Tyron Woodley. He's not going for takedowns. You know what I mean? He was a dominant wrestler, All-American multiple times. He's not going for takedowns. Aaron Pico, he's a new guy in Bellator. Was a dominant wrestler. He's 21 years old. He was, Olympiad or whatever it was, dominant wrestler, and he's just standing with people. And I think having that the comfortability of knowing that this guy is not going to be able to take you down, so they're worried about you taking them down, so they have to react to that.
Right.
They have to position themselves and position their body in a way to defend your shot, defend your takedown, and you don't, because you don't care. Like,
so it's more
take it down.
It's more that they having a wrestling background makes the opponent initialize contact almost. Like they have to almost initiate that strategy.
Yeah, for sure. It changes
because you can react almost to anything that they throw at you. As long as you're on your feet,
you're
right?
always worried. Like when you're going to throw a kick, you're worried, okay, if I start to throw this kick, I'm vulnerable to get taken out. I'm always vulnerable to get taken down. You know what I mean? So it's
right.
You have to react to that, like you said.
Wow.
No, I honestly, I love it. I love the talk. I'm so honestly just excited for this matchup because of how much a different style these guys play. So when we talk about like looking for the takedown, and what Conor McGregor has done in all of his fights is he presses you to a corner, he makes you stand up with him, and then as soon as you try and stand up with him, he just counters and just catches you. Every time you throw a punch at Conor, he counters. The other side, Khabib just presses you into a corner and looks for that spot to grab you and take you down. And when he takes you down, he just keeps you down.
Yeah, I mean, Conor fought a good wrestler in Chad Mendes who took Conor down multiple times. Conor was able to get up.
He got up. And he was hurting Mendes. I feel like Mendes stood up with him way too long in that fight. Like he tried to stand in front of him way too much.
Yeah.
And he got hurt a couple times.
Yeah. I mean, Conor Mendez was on a short notice that fight, and he maybe 2 weeks or something. He took the fight, and he was winning the fight against Conor, but they stood up. Conor was able to get it onto the feet. He escaped from him from the bottom. He was able to get on the feet, and he started.
Well, and you know what people forget about that Mendez fight is that Mendez busted him open.
That's what I'm saying.
He busted him open early in the second round when he got him down.
The fight,
yeah,
like,
he busted him open early in the second round. But you're right. Conor got up, and at the end of the second round is when he hurt Mendez standing up. He hurt him bad.
Yeah,
and
so
then
that kind of makes me think about this fight. Like, okay, Conor's probably going to get taken down, but is he going to be able to get up?
Right. I think you make a great point. Is Khabib going to get caught trying to shoot with a shot and get hurt, or is Conor going to be able to get up when Khabib tries to take him down? Because if Khabib holds him on the ground, it's a wrap. And if
but
Conor
it's not a wrap. It's okay because every round starts on the feet. So I mean,
true.
If he doesn't finish him, and he didn't finish his last 2 fights, you know what I mean?
True. No, that's a good point.
So
no, very good point. All right, so let's go.
Where do you?
Khabib is minus 190 and Conor's plus 150. So Khabib is a pretty strong favorite coming into tomorrow night. So let's start with you, Nick, because
this is not.
But you got put something out there.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I have not watched the UFC for a really long time, and there's a reason for it. I haven't been drawn into it the way I was in the past. Guys like Forrest Griffin were my favorite. Tito Ortiz was my favorite. I loved Uriah Faber. These are the guys that I was really drawn into. George St. Pierre, they were my guys. I really don't feel like there's guys anymore that generate that type of hype.
Conor, that's the guy.
I mean,
I know,
he's the
but
one bringing everyone.
I know, but
Conor is the guy.
I know, but he's the guy. So where can I go beside him? So I have nothing to base it on other than watching him and his stand up and what he's worked on in his stand up to say that I think that he wins. That's plain and simple. Like, bottom line is I haven't watched it in that long because I really feel like it's faded out a lot.
To you.
To me, absolutely. To me. For other people, yeah, there's definitely certain things that you're interested in. Watching
the casual person into the UFC, into MMA.
It is because what do they charge?
People that like it,
what do they charge in pay-per-view wise for any good fight? What are they charging you?
It's probably $70 for one. Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. So those are things like
they have fights on Fox and
they'll have a free. They had the free.
I know, but
before, those
are the guys like that's almost like watching the 87ers like that. You don't really do that, right? I mean, it's hard to get into. Do you watch those prelim fights?
Chimed in. Chuck Liddell. We talked about. You know what? It's crazy that
Chuck
she said
Liddell.
Chuck Liddell.
That's a million years ago.
Tito.
But that's a million years ago. I know that, but
Chuck Liddell reminds me of. We talked about this. Reminds me of Conor in the way he strikes because he used to hold his hands low and bring that awkward strike that people couldn't deal with because he can't.
Not the traditional keep your hands
right.
And
I feel like that's the same way Conor strikes.
It doesn't remind me that of all. It reminds me of when Vince McMahon and WWE went real down in the dumps after that spike in the early 2000s, and
after
they were like,
Attitude Era.
They're like, let's bring back Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair. That's what it reminds me of. Bringing back guys like
Liddell fight
Chuck Liddell.
Yeah.
That like the UFC, that's Bellator. I mean, they're trying to.
I know,
but sell the fight.
Exactly, and that's what it is. It doesn't draw me in. It's like
you're the guy they're trying to bring back in. That's the guy.
Yeah.
But I'm that guy.
You won't watch it.
But I'm too
watch
smart for that. No, I'm not watching.
Why wouldn't you?
They're looking to get you.
I know. These guys are 50 years old at this point. I'm not watching.
Yeah, but it's free. Why wouldn't you watch it? I'd watch it.
Because it's not a sporting event to me. I mean, I just don't feel like that into it anymore. I do get the aspect of UFC. They're trying to build things up. I just don't. I don't feel like there's anybody beside Conor that's really trying to carry the load.
For a little bit, it was Conor and Ronda, and
then
Ronda. Yeah,
I know.
Well, Ronda was the big star right before Conor. So Piercy chimed in. See, here's the thing, and this is a good point. When those guys like Tito Ortiz was a huge star, so was Chuck Liddell, so was Randy Couture, right? He brought up the whole remember Tito? Is he still married to Jenna Jameson? As far
as I know, I think so.
Yeah. So that was a Tito Ortiz thing. Who was Tito feuding with that he got in a big feud with them? Was it like a Gracie or was it like Ken Shamrock? Who did Tito have his big feud fights with back in the day? Do you remember?
Ken Shamrock was one.
I thought it was Shamrock.
Chuck was one.
Okay.
Yeah. I think Randy Couture too. Yeah,
Tito
Shamrock.
just-
I
Tito
think
just went after
Shamrock was the
everybody.
biggest one. They had like 3 fights.
Yeah, see,
I
Tito,
remember
Tito
that.
just hate everybody. Well, the
No,
last
but
one,
Tim and Chuck had 2 fights, I think.
there's
So-
the last Tito Shamrock fight. Like Shamrock was a shell, and Tito like destroyed him. Then it was like
So
a
Ricky
joke or
Ricky
something like
Kelly
that.
brings up a good guy, Matt Hughes. Remember if you remember Matt
Oh,
Hughes?
yeah.
So like, I know I was a guy like that did this. Were you were definitely a guy that did this? Were you a guy that did this? Were you an Affliction shirt guy?
Yeah, all the time.
Negative.
Dude, were you an Affliction shirt guy?
Negative.
You had to.
No,
I know you had
Dude,
Affliction
I
shirts
don't.
on.
I can't wear tight T-shirts, man. I can't. They don't.
Dude,
the tightest,
we
tightest T-shirt I
used
ever
to
wear
go
is
out
like-
all the time. We
something
were
else.
Afflictioned out, weren't we?
Yeah.
Muscle
Oh,
Shark,
God.
Yeah.
Sean Shirk.
No, that was you, maybe.
That was
didn't have
definitely
his
me.
shirt. Yeah, that was your thing.
What was your Affliction? What was your go-to Affliction shirt?
I had a lot of them, man.
I had
there
the
was
Michael Bisbing. I had the Sean
man.
Shirk. I had the
That
Ken
was your
Shamrock. A lot of Affliction shirts to go around.
Yeah.
Wow.
Ricky could never wear the Affliction shirt.
No, because Ricky's a smart man like Swags. I don't know what you guys are doing.
Nah, we were. Yeah, we looked
Good.
There
good
was a
back then.
time.
Hopefully
there was
there's
a
no-
time for Ed Hardy. That was the Ed Hardy time too. You know what I mean?
Hopefully there's no pictures of those floating around the internet. If anybody has them a prop, we need them for the From the Hill.
Oh,
site.
they're
We
on.
can just
They're
send
on
them in.
Facebook.
They're on the line.
I look good.
They're- All right, so I'll give my prediction. So I think that if this fight goes beyond 3 rounds, I think Conor ends up losing. From a betting side, because of the odds at Conor plus 150, I'll probably take Conor for $1. And
Yeah, I think that's a good line.
yeah, I like the odds. So I think I'll probably end up taking Conor at plus 150. But like I said, I think the longer this fight goes, I think it favors Khabib. And I don't think that's because of conditioning. I think it's because of the way the fight will go. Because Conor's going to be defending the takedowns. So I feel like the longer it goes, the worse it's going to be for him. And I feel like a takedown in 4 or 5 could be the end for Conor where he can't get up. But I think Conor can finish him. But I have zero confidence in it. And I think it's going to be an amazing fight. But from a betting side, I would take Conor.
Yeah, I think he's gonna starch him. Second round KO.
You think he's going to knock him out?
Yeah.
So we're all taking Conor. Well, I guess that means if you're listening, you should probably go the other way.
The
and take
line's
Khabib.
good. The line's good.
Yeah. No, the line is good. I mean, the problem is that Khabib is almost by tomorrow he'll probably be around like minus 200. So it'll be like betting 100 to win or 200 to win 100.
You think it'll get worse?
I think it will,
Conor,
yeah. Because a lot of people, all the analysts today that I've heard are all picking Khabib.
Before his last fight, I was more high on Khabib, but he didn't finish Iaquinta. He's not even a top 10 guy. I mean, he looks sloppy.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think Conor has a real chance at KO on him.
Okay. I like it. All right. Well, that's our UFC. Let's move into some college football. And this is sort of a weird week for college football because we had so many big games last week, rivalry games. It was crazy. And this week sort of seems like a down week, although we do have a monster rivalry game, which is where we'll start. But we'll get into the games that we got this week. So the Red River rivalry is the big one I was
Say it
talking
again.
about.
Say it again. Say it again.
Red River rivalry.
Okay, that was better than the first time.
Did I mumble it?
A little bit.
I'm like Machine Gun Kelly. Hello, Marshall. My name's Colson.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what that is.
You don't know what a Machine Gun Kelly is?
I know he's a human.
Use the interwebs, Nick.
I know he's a rapper. I know he's skinny. I know he looks like Justin
So
Bieber.
for
But I
those
know
of
that
you,
I didn't listen to his music.
yeah. So for those of you who don't live in the South or don't know what the Red River rivalry is, that is
Very good.
Texas versus Oklahoma. So it's played at the Cotton Bowl, so it's sort of a neutral site. But that's Texas is 19 and Oklahoma 7, and this is always a big deal.
I'm so glad though this year.
I know that Texas
Oh
is
my
good,
God!
right?
Thank
I
you.
know, it's about
Thank you,
time.
Texas, for finally getting back into this.
I
thing.
agree with you.
Like, man, it's been how long?
It's been a while. I mean, Texas has been down. We talked about this last week. Texas has been down for like 10 years. Ever since Vince Young left.
I
Who
don't
they
know.
have
It's,
after that?
it's close to 10 years.
It's close
but yeah,
to 10.
Yeah,
It was Vince Young, Colt McCoy, and then
but like, just get me to tune in. You know what I mean?
I
I don't even
agree.
care. I don't even care if you get killed, but just get
I
me to
agree.
tune in.
Nope, I agree. So we start there. We got the Red River rivalry. I just mumbled it. Oklahoma minus 7.5 in that game for anybody that cares.
I have it at 7. So
That's true. Nick and I were arguing about that. Some other games of note. We got Notre Dame Irish traveling to Virginia Tech. This is actually a really important game of note when we talk about team schedules and what they have left for the rest of the year, because this could be very well the last ranked team that Notre Dame has on their schedule this year, which could be a big deal.
wait, what are they ranked? They're not ranked.
VT's 24.
Are they now?
Correct.
I thought that was Mississippi State.
VT's 24.
Wow, they must have jumped up. I didn't see that because when we ran through all this last week, they were not.
Right. VT's 24.
My bay.
Yep. No, you're good. And then a game that Prof wants to talk about is LSU at Florida.
Interesting.
Prof, what interests you about this game?
This is weird. Guys, this is a weird game. This is simply a weird game because if you look at the line, they're at Florida. LSU is in the top, what are they, 5 at this point?
So LSU's 5 and Florida is 22. Somehow Florida's hanging around the top 25, which in and of itself is weird. I don't know.
How? That's what I don't get. I'm looking at this thing. I go through my as I do every week, I go through my list of the lines and I look at this thing and it starts out at -3, LSU -3, and they're at Florida. I get that. But they drop down to -2. It's LSU -2. So I'm thinking this is a double-digit line, and it seems too weird for me. It's one of those ones that you look at and it just tells you you should probably be on the other side of this. Your brain will tell you one thing, but your knowledge, like your heart, just tells you you shouldn't do that. So when you look at LSU -2 at Florida, I'm thinking I take LSU all the way. They're a top 5 team. They're a team that can compete to get into that top 4 spot. They're still in the running. They have a crazy schedule ahead of them. I know that, but we mentioned that last week. So that's one that I did want to talk to about, Jack, but they're definitely in my picks for the week. I'm going LSU. I'm taking a -2. It seems outrageous, and it's completely against my system, but I'm taking LSU -2. I am going to go ahead in the Red River rivalry, and I'm going to take Oklahoma -7. I have it -7. I don't know where you look at your stuff, but I have it -7. I'm going to take them at -7 against Texas. There's another game that I'm really into right now. Your
Turn your mic
headphones are
on.
off.
You're a professional.
Okay. So Miami -14 versus Florida State.
Ooh.
If you guys have listened to the podcast at all this year, you know my hatred for Florida State this year in particular and how much I think that they stink. So I am completely on board with Miami versus Florida State. I think it's at Miami. I'm pushing everything in on Miami this week.
What's that, 14?
-14.
Okay.
Start 13.5, move to 14. I love Miami in this game. My last pick in college, and this is kind of a stinkeroo, one that you're not going to be too interested in, but it's one where you can actually make some money, and it started at -1, which is weird to me. This is Illinois at Rutgers. This is Rutgers, okay? We know Rutgers. You know Rutgers.
I know
Josh
Rutgers
knows
well.
Rutgers.
I know Rutgers
What do you
very
know
well.
about football in Rutgers?
Not much.
They stink.
They stink.
They're terrible.
So let me give you a stat about Rutgers. I think I dropped this last week. So they did a poll of every team in the major 5 conferences of everybody, I guess, that matters. I don't know who's in the poll. They didn't poll me, so apparently they didn't get everybody that matters.
You
Right?
missed some.
But they did a poll, and they took all of the teams in the major 5 conferences, and by far the team that finished last, dead last of all the teams was Rutgers, and it wasn't even close.
So Rutgers started out a +1 favorite. They moved to a +5. So that means we're giving Illinois 5 points. I take Illinois running away. I think it's ridiculous. It's a crazy line. This is another one that kind of goes against my system when you sit there and look at it and you say, what would you set that line in your own brain? But I take Illinois +5. I think they win by double digits.
I think you're insane for betting an Illinois Rutgers game, even though Rutgers is really bad. I just think you're insane. There's only one game in college that I really like this week. There's a couple that I was musing about, but there's only one pick that I'm giving out. It's Alabama. They're playing Arkansas this week.
It's like 1,000,000 points.
I don't care. It was at 35. I would lay it up to 40. So in that list of what I just talked about of the worst teams in the major 5 conferences, Rutgers was dead last. The second to last team is Arkansas. Alabama is going to pound them into the ground. And you have to remember, when Alabama pulls Tua, Jalen Hurts comes in. Just lay all the points.
Did you throw up in the mic?
Yeah. Lay all the points. Take Bama. Roll Tide. Tied by 100.
35 points?
Yeah.
I
take it.
Lord. That's a lot.
I'm taking it.
Why do you do this?
I love it.
Why
I
do you
love
do
the big
this?
spreads. This is what I do.
I know, but I don't get it. I just really don't get it.
This is what I do.
Yeah, but like, why are you rooting for you're just sitting there watching a blowout, and you're just like, oh, keep going.
I don't watch them.
It's so boring.
I don't watch those games.
I know.
I just set it and forget it, bro.
Does LSU Florida seem weird to you?
That line is so short. Honestly,
Like, what is
if
that?
I had some balls in my pants right now, I would say Florida, but I don't, because I hate Florida this year. I think they're terrible. I don't know what's going on with that line. Seriously,
What?
I can't explain it. I know it's sort of a rivalry game, but I can't explain how that's two. LSU is really good, and Florida stinks.
That's what I said
underwater.
when you had diarrhea and you had to go to the bathroom.
I can't.
I said that
I don't get it.
I said that
really
this is a team that's fighting to get into the
But
top
let me
four.
tell you something. The guys that set these lines know a lot more than
I
we do.
know. So
And so when I look at that game, I would not be taking LSU -2. You know what that feels like? I got sucked into it with the Patriots against the Jaguars.
I have
it
to
feels
do
like
it.
come here. Hey, we got a little,
I know,
little,
dude.
little catnip
That's-
for you.
that's my system.
But look, it's got a little something for you. Look, -2. And you get crushed.
That's my system in a
Outright.
nutshell. But I really just can't. I can't do this.
All right.
That's my system. What you just described, but
I
I
know.
can't do it.
All
I
right.
can't do it because I'm totally backing LSU this year.
Okay.
I'm totally backing LSU. I think that they win one of those two big games that we talked about last week, and I think that they're in
actually agree with you
contention.
too.
And I think that they're in discussions for the Final Four.
Dude, I'm in agreement all the way around. You know I'm in agreement with you. I really like LSU this
And
year.
you know what's going to happen.
I think they get one of those two games too. Dude, I'm all the way around with you. You don't have to convince me. I'm with you.
But my point is, you know what's going to happen. Now that I said that, I went on a slim.
You think Florida
now they're going
knocks
to beat
them
them,
off?
and now we're completely done. Now
Yikes.
LSU is like they're going to finish.
That would
in-
be the first one of these
That's
to the
exactly
system right there.
That's totally what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Very
Now,
soon.
it could happen. It
So,
certainly could happen.
There
well
is
could
another
happen.
game that's interesting to me, and I think one of the best games this weekend is Auburn and Mississippi State, and that's a tight line too. I think if I can look it up right now, I'm not sure. I think it was around 3, but I'm not sure. That's one of the best games this week. If you're looking for a decent game to watch, I'm not sure where it's going to air, but another good game to watch. What was the one that you put out beside Red River Rivalry?
Notre Dame, Virginia Tech.
That's not going to be a good game. Notre Dame runs away.
No, I would. If I was betting that game, I would definitely take the Irish. They're at 7.5. I'd probably take them up to 9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that
Yeah.
totally. Just like they did with old Stanford. Stanford's got a tight line this week.
Yeah, well, Stanford. So we talked about this last week with Notre Dame. If Stanford loses that game to Oregon, which they should have, because the running back fumbles the ball as he's crossing the first down line, which essentially ends the game, he coughs it up. Stanford ends up coming back, ties it, and wins in overtime. If that running back just doesn't fumble that ball, Stanford is not undefeated. They're not ranked as high as they are. We don't look at them as high as they are. They have 2 losses now. Blah 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 blah. Right, the whole story. So I agree with you. Stanford, the Pac-12 is really bad. It's just really bad. I don't have anything else for it. The Pac-12 is just really bad.
I don't even like saying really bad. I like saying hard to judge. I like saying hard to judge because over the last couple of years, yeah, they haven't fared well against the major conferences, but at the same time, you see a lot of offensive firepower out there, right? They're not so great on defense, but guys like Oregon, I feel like they can put up some points against somebody. Stanford, I feel like they can put up some points against somebody.
See, I don't agree with that. I'll tell you where I see offensive firepower. I see offensive firepower, offensive firepower in the Big 12. I only see offensive firepower in the Pac-12 when they're playing each other because they can't play a lick of defense. The difference is the Big 12 teams can't play a lick of defense, but they can score against anybody. Like the Big 12 offenses are always spread. They always have a good spread quarterback with talent. Big 12 teams can go anywhere and score points. The Pac-12, not so much. We saw it last week against Notre Dame. Although Stanford, to be fair, doesn't exactly run the spread offense like the rest of the Pac-12. But I don't see that offensive firepower in the Pac-12 that we used to. I think 8 years ago we did when Chip Kelly was there, when Pete Carroll was there, when those teams in the Pac-12 had those coaches and got the talent there. Yeah, there was a lot of offensive firepower in the Pac-12, but that's all gone. But it could come back, right? Because Chip Kelly's back out there. It's very cyclical, is what college is. The Pac-12 is just down right now. It's just down.
I just don't know how you can't recruit out there.
I mean, they get talent, and they're
I
still
know they
putting
recruit,
guys
but
in the league.
But that's why I think they have a lot of great offensive players. But at the same time, there's not a lot of guys that can come in and they want to play in the SEC, right?
Dude, look at the NFL. When you go through your offensive lines and stuff like that. How many guys are you seeing from Oregon and USC? Sure, they're still putting guys in the league. There's no question about that. They still have the talent. It's just putting a team together, a good scheme, good coaching, like all the above. It's not happening with the Pac-12 right now.
Definitely. So I'm going to throw one at you here before we transition to NFL. Heisman talk. We're about 5-6 weeks in at this point, right?
Yeah, this is
week
week 6.
Okay, so where are you at? Where are you at Heisman wise?
Now, you know where I'm at. There's one name and
Tua
one name only.
Tagovailoa.
It's Tua Tagovailoa.
All right, so
That's
I'm not there with
One
you.
name.
I'm not there with you,
Josh, you see that? I didn't even have to look at a paper for that name. You like that?
dude. So I'm Greer. I'm still Greer, number 1, and I'm Murray, number
you like
2.
Murray. I like Murray too. But again,
I think tomorrow is a big
12
day.
Quarterbacks.
Tomorrow is a big day for Murray.
Dude, I told you West Virginia is my sleeper to win the Big 12. I think they can do it.
The reason I like Greer is because he is from West Virginia and he's playing with a West Virginia team. This is not a team that they are up in the top 15 at this point.
I think they're 12.
They
12 or 11.
Right, but like it's not
That accent,
it's-
pure
it's
West
not
Virginian.
It's not a typical powerhouse, football program, and I feel like he's developed very well, and I think that some of the balls that you see him throw are just really they put him in contention. I think that a lot of the teams, Oklahoma is a perennial powerhouse. Alabama, obviously a powerhouse. Who else is up there in the conversation at this point?
Clemson, Ohio State, Georgia.
Dwayne Haskins, he's obviously up there at this point. He didn't play very well against Penn State at all.
No, he didn't.
So I think that takes him back a notch. I think that puts him clearly in 4th, if not further behind.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, if we were looking at right now at the layout, I would have Tua, Murray, and Greer all ahead of Haskins for sure.
So that was my only question to you about.
Yeah, it's Tua. It's Tua to me until he doesn't come into a game and throw 3 touchdowns every game.
What do you have for NFL, man?
Let's do it. NFL.
Josh, do you watch the NFL?
A bit.
So we're going to start right here because the Vikings are coming to town. Last week was a tough loss, real tough loss. I know the Titans are 3-1, but they're not that good. But let's not lie to ourselves. The Titans are not that good. And the question now is, with the Vikings coming into town, stop looking at me like that. Yeah,
Stop throwing up in the mic, dude.
yeah, I'm drinking beer, bro. That's what a man looks like. What do you want me to tell you?
No, dude, I don't know about that. I don't know about that.
The Vikings coming here to Philly. Eagles -3, which is strictly just a hometown discount, right? I mean, we agree that when teams are equal on home field, you get the 3. That's like the total wipe. So basically, Vegas is telling you they think these teams are evenly matched. They're giving Eagles 3 for being at home. So what concerns you about this game?
The concern for me about this game is how poorly Minnesota has played for the first 3 games. That's the only thing. Like at a certain point, when you look at a team that's supposed to come into the season with as much prestige as Minnesota has, at a certain point, you expect them to actually hit the ground running.
You feel
right?
like the Vikings are due.
You expect for the rubber to meet the road at some point, right? So I watch them, and when you look at them playing against the Rams, it's really hard to say that they're a bad team.
I know, but then they're going throttled by the Bills at home.
That's one thing. But
if you look, what's the worst loss this year in the NFL?
No, by far.
By far.
Bills,
no doubt, throttle the Vikings.
No
in
doubt.
Minnesota.
But they did come back against the Rams, and this is a team, the Rams team, that you're looking at right now. That everybody's all on board with the Rams, obviously with McVay, Goff, and all the receivers, all the weapons that they have. And they look unbelievable.
Yeah,
you can't stop
clearly,
them. But you know what? Kirk Cousins is going back and forth with these guys. And he's thrown for, I don't know, he threw like for 422 or something like that.
Yeah, no, that was.
So it's not like
it's
not like they had a bad game. And it's not like you can sit there and say their defense is terrible, because you look at the Rams offense and they just have it together. So it's really hard to judge them right now.
I agree with you. But when I think about this game, I worry less about the Vikings and what they are or aren't, and I worry more about the Eagles and how they're playing. Because you could say the same thing about the Eagles. I mean, when I look at this team and I look at their defensive statistics, they're in the top 10 in run defense. They're in the top 10 in turnover different. Like they're in the top 10 in all these categories, except plays over 20 yards. They're like second to last.
Well, what did we talk about last week? What was going to change the game? It was specifically on the run game for both teams, right? So if the Titans wanted to run the ball, they shouldn't have been able to run the ball because our defense is a top run defense. If the Eagles wanted to run the ball, the Titans defense is one of the worst run defenses. And for some reason, for whatever reason, I don't know why, they completely went away from any run threat whatsoever.
That's been a problem the last 2 weeks with
I don't
Carson
know
Wentz
if
back.
I
They've
don't
done
know,
that both of the last 2 weeks with Carson Wentz back.
is it because the running backs aren't healthy?
I don't know.
Is it because
I think, honestly, what I think it is, and I think it has to do a lot with Doug Peterson, and it's that Andy Reid philosophy, because if you look at the pantheon of Andy Reid teams, they're at that like 65-35 pass run. And Doug Peterson's like, well, I got my guy back. I got my main guy back.
I don't
We're
believe
going to throw more. We're going to throw more. It's what they do. They throw. When they go to the run and it's 2 yards in a cloud of dust, that makes them not want to go back. And they just throw. But honestly, I don't even have a problem with the Eagles' offense as much as I do giving up the deep ball. We forget, but we can't, that the Titans, that game should never went to overtime. That Titans receiver dropped a deep ball wide open that he would have scored on or got them down there before that in the fourth quarter.
that wasn't overtime?
No, that was the fourth quarter. I can't remember the guy's name. Dropped the ball like deep. He's the guy that ended up winning the game, obviously, with this one catch. But the deep ball was there all day, and it continues to be a problem. And everybody on local radio wants to keep pointing to Jalen Mills and like singling him out like he's the guy. But I talked about this last week. In the Schwartz scheme, our front four, which should be a vicious front four, all of a sudden the last couple weeks is not getting pressure. And so when Jim Schwartz dials up pressure, if that pressure doesn't get there, you're leaving your secondary on an island. Like nobody can cover forever, especially deep. And when you're singled up and going deep, if the blitz doesn't get there, that ball's there.
Well, and Mariota makes that hard, obviously, because he's elusive.
Correct.
He gets out of the pocket.
Correct.
And he can move and make plays.
If you can't get to him and stop him
But
from getting that ball out, you got single coverage.
I just
going
don't
deep.
know how you can have no problem with the offense looking at what that offensive line did.
It's not that I don't have no problem with it. It's not my biggest concern.
So the offensive line, I know they take a lot of flack, and I know that Carson holds onto the ball a lot more, and I know it all kind of trickles down. Like if the receivers don't get open, then the offensive line has to hold the line for a longer period of time, and then Carson holds the ball. I know I get all that, but at the same time, they were blowing up that offensive line a lot.
Yeah, the offensive line did not look good last week. They did not look good. I mean, neither in pass or run.
Well, I don't know. Josh watched the game.
I know. God, he wants to say something.
No. I'm not a big football guy. Like you bowed out of the MMA. You know, take my bow.
No, but
know what I'm over my head.
that's one of the main concerns for me is what they look like last week.
But actually, let me go back, Josh, because you're an Eagles fan, right?
Yeah.
And so this is important because, like, all I heard all week on the radio is it's Jalen Mills, it's Jalen Mills, it's Jalen Mills, right? I mean, you watched the game this week, and obviously he got beat on a couple of those balls. So up front, you'd want to say, well, obviously it's Jalen Mills' fault, right? Like he should be able to cover better. But when I watched the game the way it did on those plays when they went deep and they got those deep balls, it was always when they brought extra pressure. And when the Titans picked it up correctly, Mariota or it was able to move around or miss a guy, and he's able to go deep. How do you think Jalen Mills or any of these cornerbacks in the league can take these corners deep one-on-one down the field?
Yeah, you can't cover them forever.
And what we talked about last week with those deep balls is it's a 50-50 prop now. You throw that ball up deep, and if you get the guy because he's bigger than your corner, maybe he makes a catch, or you get a PI if you get him singled up. Because what are the chances of throwing an interception when you're singled up?
One of the biggest things I think that with Mills this year, what's different from last year is I think that the safety play has been just
That's what I'm saying.
terrible.
You can't put it all on the cornerback. Like it's a team game.
I get it, but you know what? At the same time, at a certain point, you're called upon to make plays, and he hasn't made them. He's been the.
I'm not saying he's played well. I'm not here to defend
He's
the guy.
worked 100%, like almost against the defense this year. Like he hasn't made that play, and I don't know what the answer is. I don't know if you put Jones out to the outside and try to bring someone else inside. I don't know what the answer is at this point. But the safety play, if the safety play is stronger, obviously it supports him. But at a certain point, if you're a shutdown corner, if you're a guy that's going to play on the outside, you have to make a play at some point, and he hasn't made anything.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. I mean, at some point you do have to make plays, and he has struggled. There's no question about it. I'm not here to defend the guy. I just think what you hear from the coaches, and especially Doug Peterson talked about this week, he said, look, if they're going to keep attacking a spot in our defense and a specific guy, maybe that has to do with the way the coaches are setting that guy up. If we're setting him up to get beat on a double move with no safety help over the top because we're bringing extra pressure, we should probably address that. And by the way, with our defensive personnel, we should be able to get to the quarterback with 4 or 5. That's the bottom line. I mean, we keep talking about our front four like we have the top 5 front four in the NFL. You should be able to get to the quarterback then. And we shouldn't have to bring extra pressure and leave these guys out on an island.
Yeah, but I think a lot of teams at this point have planned for that. They've planned for that. They're getting the ball out quick. You're not seeing a lot of
but
deep
don't
balls.
You think teams plan for Khalil Mack? Like, why is don't you think when teams go to play the Bears, they go, oh, well, Khalil Mack's lining up over there? And don't you think when Aaron Donald and Fletcher, when Fletcher Cox lines up,
that's different.
Teams double him, it doesn't matter. He's such a good player. He beats that. That's what I'm saying.
That's different. So Khalil Mack allows for the rest of the team to get there, right? Our front four, our front 5, whatever the case may be, they plan for us kind of almost accordingly. They're not planning for Fletcher Cox to get in there.
Oh,
necessarily.
They're planning for Fletcher Cox. But he's double on every play.
Not necessarily for the sack, but to clog up the run game, right?
True.
So they're getting the ball out in the pass game a lot quicker, so that we're getting pressure and there's a lot more quick passes going on. There's a lot of stuff that happens in open space that we're not prepared for. So it's not necessarily like the quarterback's back there for 6, 7, 10 seconds. We're not giving him a whole hell of a lot of time. I think that the game plan for the other team has been get the ball out quick, get our guys in space, and then we'll be okay. Because our guys aren't tackling.
No, I agree.
Our safeties aren't tackling. Our corners aren't tackling.
Nope.
Our linebackers aren't tackling at this point. So I think that's been more the plan, more so than let's drop our quarterback 7 steps and let him sit in the pocket and wait.
No, what you're seeing is you make a good point. What you're seeing is let's get the ball out quick, let's get the ball out quick, and then let's take a shot. Let's do a double move, let's take a shot. But it just seems like every time they take a shot, you guys disagree? You guys watched the last 2 games. Every time they take a deep shot, I feel like it's there. I can't remember the last deep shot that a team has taken against us in the last 2 games where it hasn't been there. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like every time they take a deep shot, even the game before that, when Jalen Mills bites on a double move and it's a bad throw over the receiver's head, the guy's open. They miss the shot. But it was there.
McLeod's been there for a couple shots, but he's dropped the interception.
Right.
That's the only thing.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I see.
So I feel like the shots are there when they go to take them.
So how do you feel about this week?
Dude, honestly, I'm not feeling good about this game. And
you know what makes me feel good about this game? Is that people don't feel good about it. I really do. I feel like for the last couple of weeks, we have felt so comfortable with these games, and myself included, even from the first time that we started talking about NFL.
Yeah.
I looked at the schedule and said, we have a lot of leeway. We have a lot of space for Carson to come back. And I actually thought that Carson should come back this week. I thought that this would be the first week, and I'm probably stupid for me to think that way. But just looking at the way that this season has set up, I feel like people have gotten a lot more comfortable just saying, okay, this is a cupcake win. We did it with Tennessee. We did it with Indy.
Tampa.
We tried to do it with Tampa. That didn't work. I think that was initially a fluke. But you know what?
It's when you play a team, right? We talked about
now that I feel like we're dialed in, now that I feel like people are actually worried, now I feel like things are going to step up.
All right. So it
makes no sense.
You like the Eagles this week?
I do.
All right. Well, you know what? Let's fast forward here a little bit because we're running a little long. So let me give you a list of games, and then we'll do our NFL picks so we can wrap up. So we talked about the Vikings at the Eagles. The Eagles are -3. I wrote down some other games of note here, and then I'll let Nick give you some games of note before we do picks. So the Dolphins go to the Bengals, and that's a battle of 3-1 teams, which is actually in the AFC surprisingly a game that matters,
especially for those 2 turds.
Yeah, and the Bengals are -6, which I expected. The Falcons are playing the Steelers, and these are sort of the opposite of the game we just talked about because this is a really important game for good teams who don't have good records, right? Before this, the Bengals and Dolphins we feel like are bad teams with good records. The Falcons and Steelers we feel like are good teams with bad records. So Falcons are going to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's -3. Again, that's that home team line. The Jags are going to the Chiefs.
This is a good one.
Yeah, this is a good one. KC
this is a good one
-3.
because have you seen you've obviously seen Jalen Ramsey and how much he likes to,
I love it.
To prod.
He's my kind of guy.
To prod the people that he's playing
He is
against.
my kind of guy.
And you heard what he said about Tyreek Hill.
Yep.
That he's been a Pro Bowler. Sure. He's a pro bowler, but he's been a pro bowler for special teams. He's a kick return specialist, and that's all he is. He said, I went to the Pro Bowl for my position,
Yeah.
cornerback. So he's confident. I like that. I like that.
Dude,
out of him.
I love it.
Like, I think he's
Did you see? I don't know if we brought this up. Did you see his preseason where he rated all the quarterbacks
yeah,
in the league?
of course.
And literally, he was just like, Kirk Cousins, he trashed. Like that. This is a true. He did an interview with GQ, and he like went down the list of guys, and he was like, Aaron Rodgers, he aight.
Did he say anyone was good?
No, nobody's
No
good.
one's good.
No one's
No one got
good.
the A rating.
Yeah, no one's good. He's like Aaron Rodgers, he aight.
Yeah.
But then everybody else, it was like Kirk Cousins, he trash. Eli Manning, he trash. Oh yeah, so he decent. No, he trash. He got, dude,
So,
it's amazing.
I was an A+.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. If you're all right or you're decent, you're an MVP.
I
So
like that though.
yeah, I do too.
I like the Jags this week.
Okay. That's funny because I don't.
Listen, at a certain point, I know, and I've said this before, that Andy Reid offense is gonna hit the wall.
It does, but
It's
it's not
gonna
going to
hit the
happen in
wall.
week 5. It's going to happen more like week 10.
I know, but it's gonna
Just
hit the
giving you-
wall. This is a
giving
good
you
defense.
a
These guys are
little
gonna be amped up. They're in Jacksonville, right?
It is in Kansas
Oh, okay.
City.
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah.
Let me reset.
All right. So two more games of interest that I see. The Rams traveled to Seattle. This is a short line to me, even though it's Rams -7 in Seattle, because the Seahawks are a dumpster fire right now. So I'm surprised to see that line that short. And then Monday night, the Skins, the Washington racial slurs, they travel to New Orleans to play the Saints. That's the Saints -6.
The Saints win that big. Drew Brees is up for a big award,
All right.
a
So
big milestone.
Prof, then you do your picks, and then I'll follow with my picks, and then we'll
All right.
close this out here.
Of course, I always have to go first.
Well, you're the
So
prophet.
I don't know about
You're the
this one. This
prophet.
was a weird one to me, but I'm taking this. I'm taking Arizona outright at San Francisco -3.5, down from 5.5. This is a good swing for me. Obviously, monitor the line before the game, but it's a pretty good swing, enough for me to say that Arizona wins this game outright. I think that they get a good win here at San Francisco with C.J. Beathard. I think C.J. is going to throw a couple picks in this game. My next pick, this might come as more of a surprise to Jackson because I know he's a big Phillip Rivers fan, but I like Oakland +4.5 at Los Angeles. Los Angeles meaning the Chargers. I like them a lot. I think that they might win this game outright.
I can't believe it.
I actually like this game a lot.
You know what my dog of the week is? Raiders +5.5 is where I just looked at that.
Where'd
at
you get
the
them at?
Chargers.
5.5. Good
Plus
Lord.
5.5 at the Chargers, and I like the Raiders outright.
I have two more for you. I like Tennessee -5.5 at Buffalo. It is up from 3.5, I believe, if I remember correctly. At Buffalo, Buffalo had their Super Bowl. They've already beaten the Vikings, so they are going to be on the schneid. Take Tennessee -5.5 at Buffalo. It's not snowing yet up there, so I think this will be a good game for Tennessee. The next one, big swing, Denver -1 at the Jets. The Jets opened at -1 at home. The swing has since gone to Denver -1, basically a pick'em game. Take Denver, ladies and gentlemen, after that terrible, terrible push against Kansas City on Monday night.
Actually, Kansas City ended up covering that game if you took it when it went off at 3.5.
I got them at 4.
Yeah, 3.5.
4.
Chiefs cover.
So I went 2-1 last week.
All right. So
Eliminating the push, I would have went 3-1 because I did tell you about the Broncos against that in that game.
if you got on it, all right. So give
I
the
told
props
you
some
about
credit.
those Broncos.
If you got on it,
Who else did I tell you about?
the Sharps were all over Denver. By the way,
Who
the
else did I
Sharps
tell you
were.
about?
Hang on, relax.
No, 'cause
relax.
I had a
This
good, I had a
made
good week.
this made me so mad. So the Sharps were all over Denver, by the way. So Nick was right, but the problem is when the game went off, it went off at 3.5, and Kansas City won by 4. But Nick was right when he put it in. She got Denver before it dipped down below 4.
Who else did I get? Tell them.
So Nick
Tell
and I
the
went
people.
head to head in the Bengals Falcons, and this was a heartbreaker. The Bengals scored like last minute touchdown after some penalty BS or I don't know what happened, but the Bengals ended up winning outright. They were what was it? What was it 3.5?
Who cares? They won.
Yeah, the Bengals won outright. They ended up covering. We were both on the Pats. That's right, and they had a big blowout win. So.
And I missed the Jets. I had the Jets against the Jags. and
both of
didn't do it.
both of our dogs last week did not do very good.
Listen, sometimes you gotta take a chance.
It's funny that we're both on the same dog. That actually, I don't like that. So Nick gave away my dog of the week. I like the Raiders I was going to say San Diego. I can't help it. Literally, Josh, don't you want to call them the San Diego Chargers?
last year.
Did you remember that they're in Los Angeles? No, I just want to say at San Diego.
I remember the
You guys are bad football
ridiculous
fans.
prices that they were charging for the parking. I remember that.
You guys are bad football
I just
fans.
want to say it's the San Diego Superchargers. So I got the Raiders outright at Chargers, but I'll take the points. 5.5, 4, whatever. We'll see what it goes at. But I like it right now. I just checked. It's 5.5 to get at that. So I don't like the props assessment of the Jags going to KC.
Well,
at
that's
3.
not one of my picks, but I do like
Yeah.
the Jags.
It's -3. I like the Chiefs. I'll take the Chiefs at home -3. I like that line. I'll take KC. I like the Rams -7. Even though I feel like that's a short line at Seattle, I literally just feel like Seattle is a dumpster.
It's hard to call 7 a short line in the NFL.
But it should be upwards of 9 to 10 because of how bad Seattle is now. Good LA is. I know it's a division game. I know it's on the road.
Right.
But I still like the Rams -7, and then I also like the Saints -6. I agree with you. I think the Saints have a good week.
The Saints have a great week because Drew Brees is going to set the all-time
Who dat?
leader for passing and touchdowns and different things. He's
All the
unbelievable.
records.
Yeah,
All of
all of them.
What do the records
All-
mean anymore?
all-
Everybody just throws for 400 yards.
Did you see Tom Brady threw for his 500th touchdown on Thursday night?
Easy
Easy peasy.
Not even a big deal.
Nope.
Not even a problem.
Nope. Well, that's all I got. Let's wrap this thing up.
Why don't you play some music to get us out of here, Jack? We
Easy,
really appreciate
guy.
everybody joining us for this
Easy,
last
guy.
35. How long? How many hours
We're
did
up
we
at
go?
$1.20 right now. It's been a long
Nah,
one.
we've done longer.
It's been a long one.
So we appreciate everybody joining in and checking in and making fun of us. And we hope that you come back to us very soon. We have a couple different shows coming up. We're trying to make next week happen in terms of the Country Beer Fest. Is that correct?
Right. That's right. So next week we will be at the Country Beer Festival. That is the Conshohocken Beer Festival. So the original podcast from a year ago was done there. So through a partnership with our buddy, obviously, Coach T. Adam Tracy and the Conshohocken Sports League, we will be at the Conshohocken Beer Fest set up. So I'll be there helping Adam out. We're going to do the country sports thing like we did last year. We're hoping that the prof can make it for the second half of the day.
We're doing our best. We're praying for rain.
Yeah, we're gonna do several different segments throughout the day, the same way we did last year. We're gonna do 4. We'll have the third mic out front for everybody to come up. We can talk CSL. We can talk sports. You can talk from the hill. You can talk whatever you want, bombs, whatever you want. It's gonna be fun. So everybody that's at the Country Beer Fest next weekend, that's next Saturday, come and visit the tent. We'll have the shirts there. We'll be there. It's down at the old football field.
The A field.
Yeah, down
The
at
A field on
I think it's
on
10th
Lafayette
or
and
11th.
10th or 11th or something
Yeah,
like
it's
that.
10th or 11th. You can check it out online. It's the Conshohocken Beer Fest. I think it starts at 10 a.m. and runs till about 5 or 6. Don't quote me. Coach T's probably going to text right now like you're an idiot. You're wrong. We'll be up there. Like I'll be there all day, and so we're going to do several different podcasts throughout the day. Prof, I know has a yard sale, but hopefully he can make it for the
I
end.
have a yard sale.
Yeah, but we'll be there in full effect. And again, literally, I just want to thank everybody. Thanks a lot, Josh, for stopping down and getting on with us today. The support is honestly, it's unbelievable. We've had so many people jump on and comment while we've been here. It's amazing. You guys share the video. You guys,
Heels is even on here.
Heels jumped on.
Heels is checking in.
Like Nick and I can't thank you guys enough for supporting us. It means so much. That's what keeps us doing this. Like you guys texting us and telling us what you want to hear. It's funny today, before Josh came up, we were trying to work out making calls into the mixer here. We're getting there. I'm going to get calls into the mixer. We're going to get different things into the mixer. We're going to bring different things in. But seriously, thanks everybody that comes out to the live shows. Thanks everybody that gets on here. Thanks everybody that subscribes. Sorry, that's all thanks I got. I love you all. Thank you.
Thank everyone. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
For the
Holla.
Prof, Swags, out.
Get it well done. Dance on the mall, make a girl We keep moving till the sun come up, porque I am the party. It's a fiesta. Blow out your candles, have a siesta.